So, and none of this can be possible without the support of those that are funding Unite for Her speaker series, Ask the Experts, and Virtual Hangout. And we are so honored for these presenting sponsors and supporting sponsors. We have West and Merck. We have two this year. That is really big for Unite for Her to have two presenting sponsors and supporting sponsors of Daiichi Sankyo and GSK. And we cannot do it without them. It enables us to get the best speakers front and center. We actually will have Dr. Monique Gary on with us tonight. And this allows us to bring topics to you that are front of mind, very thoughtful and engaging, and answering a lot of needs and filling gaps that are in the community. So we just wanted to make sure we gave them their front and center, appearance tonight so that we can thank them properly.
Wonderful. Really excited to have them with us.
Yeah. As always, we love it if you use the chat. A lot of you are familiar with Zoom, so I don't have to tell you too much about Zoom, do I? But, keep yourself on mute, right? Background noise, just so that the speakers are front and center. And also tell us where you're from. We serve all over the nation now, all 50 states. We are so honored and so filled with pride that we were able to get this done, and that there's no one that could go without the Unite for Her program. So we love it when we see, I'm from California, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Maryland. So tell us where you're from and pop it in the chat. And we love that. We love that. Terry, thanks for starting us off. Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. And then Erin, do you want to share?
Reminders?
Yeah, go for it.
We are kicking off the year in high fashion and with some really exciting events that we have going on. So it really is my pleasure that for the third year in a row, our nutrition team is leading the way for Plantuary. So it's not really our New Year's resolution, more of our goal just to help you set an intention to eat more plants. That is what Plantuary is all about. So it's not about being entirely plant-based or cutting out all these foods, but we all know the benefit of just adding more plants. So all month long, our culinary nutrition team is hosting social media videos and posting recipes. And last night, like Sue said, we had our virtual hangout and we demonstrated basic cooking methods with carrots, but really highlighting simple ways to cook in the kitchen to take some of that intimidation out a little bit. So all month long, stay tuned with us. In addition, we have a Plantuary pledge. So this is just a little sheet that you can fill out that is a promise to yourself to be thoughtful about adding in more plants just to improve your overall health and well-being. Plus, it does enter you into a little sweepstakes raffle that we will have at the end of the month. And our goal for 2024 is to have more than 200 registrants. I think we're almost there, but if you haven't signed up already, we will pop that link to our Plantuary page in the chat, but definitely try our recipes, engage with us on social media. It's been really, really fun putting all of that fun stuff together. And then to wrap up our education month of events, we have our Ask the Experts. And this, again, we're really, really excited. So taking place on Thursday, January 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be streaming live on our Facebook page. We will be joined by Senior Nutrition Advisor Karen Collins from the American Institute of Cancer Research, AICR. So a very well-respected research and cancer worldwide institution. And she will be chatting with Aubrey and answering your questions about nutrition and cancer and what does research say? What does the latest science say? So it's always a pleasure when we can connect with another dietitian in our field. And it is even more of a pleasure to have one of the best in the cancer space and cancer research space. So be sure to check that out. In addition, you can submit your questions to Karen ahead of time. So we'll put that link in the chat as well. So if you have any burning questions, we'll be covering as much as we can, but I'm sure it will be a really info-packed segment. So hopefully we will see you there. And again, that's streaming live on Facebook. So no registration, just pop on with us on social media.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. Also, just a little bit of a reminder too, we are recording this session. So for anybody who may have missed it, they're going to be able to have access to this. This is always on our website. We're going to be showing you tonight. So it's uniteforher.org. SABCS. We'll be sharing our screen, but if any of you want to pop it up on your screen, you can do it that way as well. But know that we're recording this. If you want your camera on, wonderful. If you want your camera off, no problem. They are going to be focused on the speakers and the actual presentation. So just know that, we are not recording this where we are right into your living room. We are not doing that. Yeah. All right, Erin, what do you think? Shall we get started?
I think we can get started.
Okay, and then you keep an eye out for Dr. Gary for us. So Dr. Monique Gary, if you want to do an introduction, so that way when she comes in, she'll be ready to go. She is a busy surgeon in our area, and we are giving her, she said, give me 3 minutes. We can do it. I was texting her. I was texting her. So if you want to give the introduction.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
Dr. Gary, that would be great. And then we will get right into it.
Perfect. So I am sure for those of you that have joined us before, seeing and hearing Dr. Monique Gary's name, she is no stranger to the Unite for Her community. But Dr. Mo, as we sometimes call her, is a breast surgeon, an educator, entrepreneur, media personality, farmer, and philanthropist. And you should see her farm. It's amazing. She currently serves as the medical director of Grandview Health Penn Cancer Network Cancer Program, where she also serves as director of the breast program. She believes in the power of connection between mind, body, and spirit to promote overall wellness and is passionate about addressing the disparities in health outcomes for marginalized people. She serves as professor for several national breast cancer advocacy organizations, including Living Beyond Breast Cancer, Touch the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, Tiger Lily Foundation, the Chrysalis Initiative, and the National LGBT Cancer Network. She truly is an incredible physician. She is a wonderful partner and friend of Unite for Her. And truly, we are just so happy to have her as part of our community.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. She has been a part of our community for years. I love the chat lighting up at how special Dr. Gary, Dr. Mo is to our community. And, I love that she has this new farm that she has been really cultivating, no pun intended, bringing in wellness retreats. So we are a partner of hers as well. So we'll be able to talk a little bit about that later on, but she has another retreat coming up. And that one's going to be in May. So we want to make sure we keep that front and center. We are her partner there. Wellness retreats are our wheelhouse. So why not, share all of that goodness with Dr. Gary and bring it to her farm, which is absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So Erin, I think I'm going to get started and just share my screen. I know once Dr. Gary is there, if you don't mind just popping her in and getting her ready to jump in whenever she's ready. She's
Absolutely.
done this poster. She's done this poster
with her
with
eyes
me before.
closed.
Yeah. She has. So I'm going to share my screen and then you guys will be able to take a look at that. And you can tell me if you see it fine. Erin, how's that look? Good?
That looks great. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So this is where you can find our posters. If you go to our website at uniteforher.org/SABCS, we're so honored to partner with the cancer support community. They take our data, they mine it, they clean it. That is very important to us because in the research world, we want to make sure that everything is not biased in any way when we are conducting those questions. We want to make sure that we have the right impact and the way that the questions are formed or not leading, and they help us do that. Then they take that research and they mine it and clean it and put it into a poster and an abstract for us. These are all, the first one that we're doing are all of our community members, okay? So they're everyone from Unite for Her, and this is the first one in 2022 that we presented. You'll see here we have two. The one we're starting with is from last year, and it was about the impact of integrative therapies on patients with metastatic breast cancer. When you get on our website, just click it. It will pop you down to the poster. This was our poster that we presented last year, and we were so proud of it. And when we are at the San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium, I talked about that a little bit. That symposium is the largest in the nation. Over 10,000 are participating, coming there. The largest CME, making sure that those credentials are being met in that medical industry. And they also have the newest and latest data on what's happening in the breast cancer space. So to be able to be accepted here as one of the nonprofits and one of the very few in integrative care, we were so honored to be able to present that. So as you see this poster, and I'll try and make certain areas larger for you, I just want you to know where the background comes from and the method that they used. And at the Cancer Support Community, they actually took our data, which was over 2 years. It was in 2020 and 2021. They took our surveys. As you know, all of you that are on here now, you receive our passports. You actually do the treatments. We know what you do because we pay your bills, right? We know how you feel by your words, your testimonials, you answering those surveys. These were all surveys and findings that you ended up coming in if you were in those years of 20 and 21 of 139 metastatic breast cancer patients. What is important for you to see here is that this circle here, and I'm going to go here first to sort of set the stage. And let me see if I can make that a little bigger for all of you. This ends up stating that 94% right here show that Unite for Hers program was able to help them stay on track on treatment. That is one of the survey questions that we answered. And that to us sums it up, right? Like to be able to adhere to treatment with good quality of life, right? With good quality of life, which is the rest of the poster, is really that gold standard that we're looking for when we add integrative care to the standard of care. It is important that, yes, we can help people stay on treatment, but what is their quality of life? And these are some of the findings that we have here that we're showing is that their quality of life is better and that they were able to reduce side effects and symptoms because of the Unite for Her program. So if I move over here now to the left a little bit, just to give you an idea of some of the things that were surveyed, we had that, more than 2/3 of the respondents, 80% in 2020, 67% in 2021, significantly improved their side effects and symptoms from their treatments with metastatic breast cancer because of the Unite for Her program. A lot of you know that program and what it entails, right? Whether it's nutrition consults with the registration dietitian team, whether it is acupuncture, yoga, massage therapy. The beauty of these findings and what this is showing and what we say to a lot of our community, especially our pharma community that supports us, is that you have choice. And when we give you choice, it doesn't matter what you use, that you had better outcomes. We always say at Unite for Her that sometimes the outcomes can be exhaustion, it could be bone pain, it could be depression, but people approach it differently. Some people might approach it with acupuncture, some through nutrition, some through massage, some through counseling. The bottom line or the outcome is the same. They have improvement of their side effects and symptoms. The way they approached it was differently. And that is what's so important to us is to be able to report on these kinds of findings so that the pharma community, the medical community, those that support us see how critical it is so they will invest in it more. And that is how come this poster is so valuable, is that we want these bigger establishments to invest in it more, making it the standard of care. One of the items that I love is this one. And this is where we saw an average of about 27%, if you combine the two, were able to reduce their over-the-counter drugs or prescriptions, right? 28% surveyed said that they were able to reduce at least one or more over-the-counter drug or prescription. That to me speaks volumes. And that is an array of different things. It's changing lifestyles. It's utilizing whole food nutrition. It's minimizing GI issues, maybe from having those nutrition consults and that ongoing dialogue on how to swap out different things for the GI tract. That maybe they did have to use a Tums if it was over the counter or something to subside that stomach on a regular basis. It's depression medication, right? It's a lot of, we've even heard about, being able to improve diabetes outcomes, diabetes 2, because they're now on different types of plant forward. We all heard about plantuary types of diets. So this one is valuable to me. I call that one out all the time. And that is very important for you to see that as well. The other one that we move down to is just understanding that people had healthier habits. 86% in both years said that they were able to maintain the services and the nutrition counseling and the cooking and what we did. That's important too, because that's where choice comes in. When 86% of the respondents said that, yes, they did this during while they're ongoing with Unite for Her, when you are metastatic, your ongoing care. But the fact that they could say that they were able to maintain this type of a healthier habit because of what was ingrained in them and offered to them and paid for, that speaks volumes as well. Another reason why we want to invest in these types of therapies to help them move. I know even Terry, with your survey at Acuvia and your findings, is that the two most valued findings that patients wanted was nutrition and movement and some kind of fitness. They were at the top. And chime in here, Terry, if you feel like I misstepped anywhere. And the fact that, we find the same thing aligning, this is nothing new, right? Like, we are finding that the patients are telling us and the members are telling us that they want to see more ways that they can be moving in several ways. And they are getting nutritional counseling services and resources. And that's what's so valuable that Unite for Her offers. Dr. Mo, I see you
Gotta
jumped
jump
in.
in here. I have to. I
Oh, of
see
course
names and
you
faces
do.
I recognize somewhere,
Oh,
even like
Dr.
some are even
Mo.
my patients. Yeah.
Wait,
And
before you jump in, I just have to tell you, we've already done your bio, but you have had so
oh,
much love in the survey, but you can't see it because you jumped in and you don't see the chat, but you have had so much love in our survey. So you guys can pop in that love again so that she can see
oh,
it, but
you,
we're grateful that you're here. So Dr. Mo, I was just going through, of course, this poster
uh-huh.
very well, and to have a physician perspective on this is so vital. So I really wanted your voice here. I do this over and over again when I'm presenting to different partners and hospital partners and physicians like you. So for you to share what you find when you look at this poster, I will navigate it for you and I will let you take it from here.
Okay. Well, let me just minimize this. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late running in from OR and everything, but
We know.
what's yeah, you know how it is, and it's the first of the year, and we are trying our best to get folks cancer free, and with that comes all of the questions surrounding how can I change my life, how can I change my habits, and really what happens, right, if I have metastatic breast cancer, because not everybody gets to ring that bell at the end of things, but it doesn't mean that we can't use every single tool available to help you optimize your wellness, to help you stay on treatment a little bit longer, to help you have more energy, and to help make life really more about living and less about treatment. And I think that that's the gift of Unite for Her. But can we measure that? Right? Because what gets measured gets managed, what gets managed gets funded, right? And it gets expanded. And so this research, to me, Sue, really represents an opportunity to document the work that we're doing, because we know it works, we know it helps, but how does it help? And so there's a couple really great things about this, right? And we know that, one, the American Society of Clinical Oncology, or ASCO, is the guidelines, the society that helps us to produce the guidelines that we follow. And they endorsed Integrative Oncology's recommendations that we should be offering these things. Now, if you go ask your doctor about these things, well, you might get some support, you might not, and hopefully you get a lovely referral to Unite for Her so that you can begin to dive into what integrative therapies means and why it can help. But this research really looked at assessing how does this help patients who have metastatic breast cancer, right? Folks who are going to be in treatment potentially for a very, very long time. And that's a group that needs, we always say this saying, stage 4 deserves more. And it's not to say who should get more, but when you got treatment forever, we want to make sure that we're giving you something that helps you to be able to endure those treatments and have a great quality of life. So Unite for Her designed this survey, right? And if you look at how many people, 139, which is in and of itself is a really great and a large number of responses, because when I do a survey in my cancer program, I expect maybe 10% of responders. So if I send it out to 200, we might get 20, but 139 folks really, over a course of 2 years, 2020, 2021. So coming out of COVID, sheltering at home, wearing the mask, not sure how we're going to relate to this, we're able to give us some descriptives about how Unite for Her can play a role in improving the patient outcomes. So Sue, if you zoom in a little bit for me, let me see. I'm going to make it a little bit larger and then go down. So we talked about there's 139 folks with MBC, and go over to the left. There we go. And what we wanted to do is a descriptive analysis of the survey questions and open-ended comments, right? What does it do for you? And so when we go to that middle, go to the middle column for me and go up. So majority of respondents, there we go. More than 2/3 of the respondents, so 80% 2020, 67% 2021, said that, you know what, this program significantly improved the side effects that I'm having. What are those side effects? Well, some of the ones you might be having too, right? It could be neuropathy, it could be bone pain, joint pain, it could be it could be nausea, it could be diarrhea, it could be fatigue, right? So there's so many different side effects, weight gain, weight loss, right? 28% reduction in over-the-counter or prescription drugs. How many of you, and you can raise your hand or not raise your hand, or you can put a little clap in the chat, but how many people are trying to get off of, right? If there's one less medication that you can take, if you don't need to take something for nausea and you can chew ginger and you can have something that helps you to be able to manage your anxiety or manage your sleep a little bit better, right? So 28% of people said, you know what, I'm able to reduce my over-the-counter prescription drugs, 26% in 2021. And so they're able to eliminate some of the things because there's a term that you may not be familiar with, but we are in the medical world that's called polypharmacy. It means you're on a lot of drugs. And when you got metastatic breast cancer, chances are you might be at some point on a lot of drugs. So if we can help to reduce some of those things, maybe it's a little bit less Tylenol, right? That's a win. And it's an important win for people who might have to take a lot of pills. And so after utilizing these therapies, right, did it improve your emotional well-being coming out of COVID? Here we go. Let's go to the left side here. I don't know if you can't see my marker, but reduced levels of stress. So we're looking at, thank you very much. Over here, right, everybody's super, super stressed because we didn't know if the world was going to end. People putting maxi pads on their faces and soda bottles and wear masks. Don't, who knows? Disaster. But we reduced stress by 90. Look at this, 81%, 93%. Those are unheard of numbers. Who doesn't want their stress reduced? 95% improved emotional well-being. So you overall have a better outlook on things as a result of the therapies from Unite for Her. And then look at this quality of life, right? Because I mean, yes, exactly, Terry. When we talk about quality of life, it's day by day, it's touch and go, right? But if there are things that can improve that quality of life overall and help you to just feel like, you know what, I can get through today and I'm probably going to get through tomorrow too. And I feel a little bit better. Maybe I have a little more energy or I'm a little less nauseous or I just have an overall better outlook. And when quality of life is better, it's better for everybody. And that to me is one of the things that we should be striving for more as a clinical community, not just, okay, here's another pill to manage the bone pain. Here's another pill to manage the nausea. Can we improve your quality of life? 96 to 97%. So how come 2020 number 21 are lower than 2020? Sue, you want to take that or you want to go up and show this? Mm-hmm.
I know. I can't, I don't know if I can tell you why. I mean, that's the beauty of being able to do a survey and just to see, you'll see that most of them are very similar, like not too far off. You got your quality of life, 96, 97. You have your reduction in prescriptions, 28, 26. Healthy habits were spot on, 86 each. But it is interesting that we had some differences here. So, between the 2/3 of respondents on the side effects and symptoms, 80% and 67%. So when we do this poster, we end up taking an average, Dr. Mel, but I'm showing both years, and this is the real data. We're reporting on the real data. So I can't say overall why some numbers are lower in 2021 than 2020. It's the same program. We did not change anything there, but it could be a lot of outcomes even from the people who were in the program that time.
And I think also there's two thoughts about that. One is when we talk about the concept of statistical significance, is it enough that means something or is it just an individual number, right? So the difference between 1 millimeter and 2 millimeters, right? Is the difference between the tip of my pen and the tip of my pen. I don't know if you can see the tip of my pen, but it isn't a significant difference. Also, 2020, people were still figuring out and coming out of their shell in terms of being able to gather, being able to get back out to the outside. And it may be that in 2021, people did more things outside of the Unite for Her program, and they were able to gather with their walking groups and with their yoga groups and other things. And so it may be that they're exploring some other things outside of the confines of the program that also help to improve those things. And so this is questionnaire is directly related to the services that Unite for Her provides. But I mean, I think that, you know, these numbers are fairly comparable. And so we would have to look at more than 139 people to say really that there's a difference in how people are experiencing it. And it brings up a great question, Suraj, that we should really look at also, you know, those middle scores, those scores, look at some of the survey data and be able to dive a little bit deeper. And I think you're going to see more of that in future research as well, is figuring out, you know, where should we go from here? If we're at 80%, how do we get better? Right? And what does that look like and what do people need? So I think you're going to see more of that. Okay. And let's see, open-minded comments. If we scroll down a little bit, you know, without these services, this is huge, because they would not be able to access these therapies due to financial barriers. And I can speak personally from, you know, the patients in my community, and even I'm in, you know, rural Pennsylvania, where, you know, just because you live near a farm doesn't mean you can afford the food on the farms out here, and that it doesn't mean that you can afford the therapies out here. And the same for folks who are, you know, in inner cities and really across the country, where Unite for Her has now gone national. So the financial toxicity of cancer treatment is real. And we struggle to help people just pay for that. Like, can we get you a discount on the chemotherapy, right? Can we work with the pharmaceutical company and work with our foundations to get some grants for you? And so when it comes down to, well, what's left for yoga or what's left for nutrition, there aren't always funds available. And so it's important for you to know that, you know, as you think about who in your life and who in your circles, friend circles, survivor circles, et cetera, who would benefit from this, you know, especially for metastatic breast cancer, that program is never ending. It's evergreen. And so they continue to get these services because we know the financial toxicity of cancer doesn't really go away for them. And it helps them cope with the psychosocial aspects of that experience. That to me as well, again, mind, body, spirit. It's not just about moving your body and putting good food in, but you know, how are you coping? How is your stress? How is your anxiety? And what's your mental outlook? And so if a program like this can help you to cope better, again, I think that those are really important outcomes. And it's great that we got the open-ended comments to support that. So we go over a little bit more to the right. You know, and I really like, and it's the right side of the screen for me, right? Well, what impact did it have? Did it help a whole lot? Do you strongly agree? Do you neutral? Is it or do you disagree? And there were very few disagrees. There were a couple, right? But when we look at this, starting with the people who strongly agree, it helped me to have access to integrative therapies, and that access has been positive, overwhelmingly so. And as you can imagine, if you've gone through the program, or if you were considering, you know, really joining the Unite for Her community, you too will find that there might be things you would be skeptic about and say, I'm not sure about this, and this. For my patients, a couple of them is acupuncture. And then once they realize that there's a benefit to not only, oh, it helped my nausea, it helped me with my joint aches, but it also helped me sleep. All right. It's also helping me with, you know, whatever, smoking cessation. And so learning about those positive benefits of therapies, I think, is something that I hope you all lean into. It had a positive effect on quality of life. Yeah, absolutely. The studies have shown over and over again that incorporating integrative wellness, like cancer patient satisfaction scores, are higher for cancer centers that offer integrative therapies. Okay. Oh, I've made lasting changes.
Sorry, I
in my
did it again.
That's okay. It's okay to zoom in on this one, because the question is, right, does it stick? And if you look at this one, so 2020 to 2021, and this gets to the question somebody put in the chat, it didn't stick for people in 2021, fewer people. More overwhelmingly, it did. Okay, so overwhelmingly, it strongly agree, or they agree that, you know what, this made a lasting change for me. But there's a subset of people that said, no, it's okay. There's a subset of people, look at 2%, it's a small subset, but a small subset of people said, you know what, this didn't help me as much make a lasting change. And so that is something to look into. You know, 2% of those 139, you know, it's not a lot of folks, but really leaning into what it is that can help to make that lasting change. And I would dare say, I bet it's community. I think when we experience cancer in a vacuum and in isolation, that lack of community, it doesn't reinforce the positive things that we want to see and that we want to change. And so it's powerful that we're in cohorts, right? And we're in these groups. Exactly. Right? With people who get it. And when we isolate ourselves, and cancer does that to you sometimes, you're sick of yourself, you're sick of everything. You don't want to be around folks. But when you open up to being around folks, that's what helps to make some of those lasting changes, because you become accountable, right? And it reinforces the things that you're experiencing. It validates those things, but then also the behaviors you're trying to change, right? If you're trying to make a change in some behaviors, that often comes through community and through accountability. So really quickly, because I don't want to take up too much of the time, but here we go. Here's the thing right here at the bottom. And this is where I really want to see us go. Sue, I got some great ideas for how we're going to collaborate on getting this going for 2024. But Unite for Hers programs help me stay on track with my cancer treatment plan. So there it is. Because that's the ultimate, is that you would be able to manage side effects, mindset, other things that are going on in your life enough to stay on those treatments. I have so many patients who, come off of AI, those estrogen blockers, because, we tried 1, we tried 2, we tried 3, and the joint aches are just intolerable. The hot flashes, untenable. And so if there's a program that can help you stay on track with your treatment plan, that can ultimately lead to greater success in that treatment plan, and hopefully in that outcome, or at least in that life, in that moment to moment. And so I love that. And I love that we're able to document this. And I hope that we continue to do this research. So if you get a survey, don't toss it out. Don't put it in the junk bin in your inbox, because, we want to know how this helps you. If it doesn't help you, how it can be better for you. And then what are the details of how it does that? Because there is a science to integrative wellness and integrative oncology that we need to know more of. And that is a particular interest of mine. I know my patients are all, they know we talk a lot about diet. We talk about movement. What type of movement? How many steps? What type of food? And it should be standard of care. You're absolutely right. But the way to get it there is through the data. So more data to come.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And from a clinician standpoint,
Wonderful.
this is what the doctors need to see in order to believe it. So when you go and ask your doctor, well, what types of holistic things are available? And they're looking at you like, I don't know. There's a science, and they should know it too. And you should refer them to this data, because it can help to change our practice as clinicians and the conversation we have with patients.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Mo. Okay, I am going to move up now. Now, as you know, we pull out a lot of data too. So if you want to, dive in a different way, you can, and just read the whole entire page on Unite for Her's website. But this is the next one that we're going to be focusing on. And this is the one that we just did this year in collaboration with Cancer Support Community. I'm going to let Erin take the stage front and center there, and she's going to do this one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. And for me, this was particularly interesting, and also just, reassuring, because the work that our registered dietitian team does, we know the impact that eating and nutrition can have on quality of life. So, like Dr. Mo said, to see the quantitative data and to see the numbers that show the trickle down effect that working with a professional and seeking nutrition education, how it goes so much further than just physical well-being, truly is impactful. So I really love this study. So it really is my pleasure to review this particular poster presentation. So just to start, the purpose of this particular presentation, and we want to be clear, so this was not entirely Unite for Her members. So this particular study, hosted by the Cancer Support Community, pulled from their Cancer Experience Registry, which is an ongoing research study conducted by this organization. And this ongoing research is looking at uncovering the emotional, physical, and financial impact of cancer. So this is an ongoing study, and they were really highlighting eating and nutrition in this particular set of data. So, their goal was to look at how professional support for eating and nutrition among women living with breast cancer, varying stages, affected two things: mental health and quality of life. Essentially, they wanted to describe the patient experience. So this particular set of participants, this was a 7-month long survey. So November 22 to May 23. So over the course of those 7 months, they surveyed 232 women with breast cancer that were enrolled in their particular registry. And like I said, they came from varying stages that you'll see. So zooming in a little bit, we see some localized diagnosis. So thinking early stage active treatment versus metastatic stage 4 ongoing, those that were considered in remission, no evidence of disease, and then those that just may not have known particularly where they fall. So that was sort of the breakdown. But one of the interesting numbers I wanted to call out was that median years since diagnosis. So the average, the median number since diagnosis of these study participants was 7 years. And in sort of reviewing this, that's significant in that I think it speaks to the ongoing need for nutrition education and counseling and information, and how we'll see this in a moment. It's not just during diagnosis. It's just not at that perhaps initial or acute or one particular stage, but there really is a need for an ongoing professional source. So it was really sort of interesting to see that median number. So starting from the center part of this poster, just sort of looking at some of the initial statistics of who wanted nutrition support, who didn't. When you're looking at this pie chart, doing a little bit of math, we're looking at 54% of participants in this study wanted nutrition support. They wanted to receive some sort of education. Now, only 37% received nutrition support, wanted it and received it. 17% wanted it and did not receive it. So when we move on in just a little bit, we'll be diving a little bit further into that did receive, wanted and did receive, but we'll get there in just a moment. Some of the really interesting data that I think pull from this pie chart, as I said, among those that wanted and received nutrition support, the large majority, 78%, utilized a registered dietitian. And I'm not just sharing sort of that really important point because I am part of a team of registered dietitians, but because, there is so much nutrition information out there. I'm sure every person on our event tonight can attest to that, coming from all different sources, trustworthy and non, educated and non, conflicting information that creates a lot of angst and stress around food and nutrition. So being able to lean into a medical professional who's trained and understands your medications that you're on, what are the side effects, having that trusted resource so that the two can work together to really find an ideal path for you, help you manage whatever your treatment journey looks like. It's really, really important. So for me, seeing that number at 78% really makes me feel good because we know that, that information can really come from anywhere. So it was really lovely to see that number called out. Something else in that first bullet, when we're looking at the participants, 12% of those received nutrition support in the last 6 months. Again, going back to that relevancy point, right? So median age since diagnosis, or median number of years since diagnosis, 7 years, we're looking at a majority, or not a majority, but a number of these members who are still diving into nutrition support and nutrition education, 12% there. So we're seeing that, the interest continues forward. Now, that third bullet, I think is really interesting, and it shows that there's room for improvement. So regardless of access, 50% of participants reported changing their eating patterns to manage their symptoms and side effects. So that could be out of just interest in learning more and making that change, or out of necessity, right? I'm feeling these side effects, so I have to make a change. 57% reported changing their eating patterns to improve long-term health. Again, that could be interest, that could be necessity. When I look at those two numbers, I think, how can we make those numbers larger? How can we increase those numbers? They're great to start, more than half or more than half. but I see the potential for progress if we can get better access to breast cancer, to all cancer patients, to nutrition professionals. We can help bring those numbers up in a positive way, in a health promoting way, right? So I see the potential there in those numbers. Moving down a little bit to figure 2, and looking a little bit at that bar chart. So when we're looking at when did these survey participants receive their treatment? And those first 2 bars, again, really stick out to me. 51% during active treatment, 44% after treatment, right? So what does this tell me? This says that, again, nutrition education, nutrition support is not just something that is needed during that active treatment time, but it really shows the need for that sort of service through the long trajectory of treatment. So the longevity of having trusted information available, and again, good nutrition support really goes from start to finish and moves all the way through. So I love seeing those 2 big numbers around that. And really interesting, and I think from my own experience in connecting with our Unite for Her members, just looking at those topics that were of most interest, support around weight gain, losing weight, maintaining. We hear that a lot. We know the impact that medications, shift in hormones and hormone therapy, pre-medications like steroids, right? There's a vast number of things that could affect a person's weight. And again, going back to that conflicting information that's available on the lovely Google, it can be overwhelming and confusing and will make you throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't even know what to do. But having a trusted person that you can lean on can be motivating, can help keep you organized, can establish some defined goals to essentially, at the end of the day, set you up for success, because I know that that's what we want for you. Now, if we move over to the far right part of this poster, we're really getting into that quality of life aspect of the survey, which I find really, really interesting. So the way the survey conductors looked at quality of life was through a type of scoring called the Promise 29 scoring. And so what this essentially looks like is it's a measure of a quality of life looking at 7 different categories, what you see here. So it measures anxiety, depression, pain interference, fatigue, sleep disturbance, physical function, and social function. So it's really looking at quality of life. And these survey, those that were leading this survey, posed those questions. Again, we're looking at the population of patients that wanted nutrition support, posed those questions and asked for a response relative to the last 7 days. So the data that you are seeing here is very, very relevant and very present to those that were answering the question. So these quality of life numbers, they're not basing it on something that happened far away in the past. It's very relevant to the time at which they were answering that survey. So looking at the top 5 of this survey, what the first 5 that you see here, they reflect symptom burden, which means the higher the score, the worse it is. And with this particular type of scoring, the Promise 29, numbers are statistically significant if there is a difference of greater than 3. Okay, so when you're looking at these different categories, those top 5, symptom burden, right? The blue is the number based, the Promise score on the general population. So we're looking at that middle red column that represents those that wanted and did not receive. And so we're seeing in every category along this top line, those that wanted nutrition support and did not receive, those first 5 categories representing symptom burden are higher. The first 3, having a difference of 3 or greater, mean that they are statistically significant, which from a research perspective is very, very meaningful. So anxiety, depression, pain interference, versus if a person had received nutrition support or has not, makes a difference. Moving down to the functioning score and what that represents. So that is the lower the score, that has to do with functioning, the lower the score, the worse that is, the lower the quality of life. So again, we're looking at physical function and social function, the lower the number first. So this first physical function, the difference is 3 or greater. So it is statistically significant. Physical function. So versus not receiving nutrition support and receiving nutrition support, it made a lasting impact on physical function. We see a smaller difference in social function, not statistically significant, but we see a difference in number, which, is interesting. And as Dr. Mo mentioned, it's always of interest to pose additional research. So what we're seeing here is, again, sort of that impact that nutrition can make much further than just the impact it has on the body, how it is helping to, feed our body and fuel our muscles and fuel our cells. But we're seeing this trickle down effect, this quality of life, because food is so central to so many parts of our life. And when we have patients that are working with a professional that can help them, make changes so that they're sleeping better, they have more energy, they're managing side effects, they have less pain, they have less fatigue, they can be more active, they're more mobile at home, they can do their activities of daily living. We're seeing in those 7 quality of life scores how that can impact the whole person. So for me, looking at these numbers at the end of the day, this tells me that any program, any model that offers nutrition education, nutrition support during all facets of a cancer diagnosis helps to improve quality of life. And I think that that is, again, really motivating for our nutrition team, for registered dietitians in general, that the impact that we can make on health goes much further than, just what we're putting in our body. And hopefully seeing some of these numbers helps, the general public, helps patients understand how, that trickle down impact, that domino effect can be quite great. So I really, to me, I love looking at these numbers, and I love looking at these because it's almost like this is what we know. This is what we hear every day. This is what our team experiences with our members all the time. So it's really wonderful to see the science proving that. But we know that there is so much more room for improvement and helping increase those numbers, like Dr. Mo said, and getting better to our community and providing more access to nutrition professionals. I know, Monique. I know, Dr. Gary.
I know. I saw that too.
But it wasn't available to me. Breaks my heart. I know.
Not in 2024. I just find that unacceptable. So,
agreed.
Yeah. And this is fuel, right? This is the fuel that we need to really push for these the implementation of these programs nationwide. So yeah, I'm here for any questions and anything I can answer, but I'm just really, I appreciate you having this forum like this and really reviewing this research. Oh, there's a question. Good. I'll shut up.
Yeah. No, that's Terry. Terry, do you want to unmute? You can unmute.
Yeah, this is amazing. You guys know I just think the world of Unite for Her, and I don't know you, Dr. Mo, but I love you already. I was a patient too. I went through the services in 2019, and now I'm an advocate. I'm a member of the Society for Integrative Oncology. Like, this is amazing. So I want to ask one question. Sue, you mentioned in the first poster about choice, and I think that I totally agree with that people having choice in what the integrative therapies they pick is so important, because you're going to be so much more likely to follow through and to get the benefits when you choose. I was just wondering if you guys have any other data or references or resources where I could go like pull more numbers to hit that point home with the people I talk to, that choice. It's not like nutrition and exercise are foundational, but it's about choice.
It is. And this this is the best we have right now, that you could actually reference and put forward. But I say it all the time because, one of my longtime goals, and Dr. Mo knows this, is that I would love to see the Unite for Her program integrated with clinical trials, so that way they could have a better leg up, that they could possibly stay on treatment longer, adhere to treatment. Abandonment of treatment is a problem. But the key was, when I was pitching this to a lot of our supporters and people who would want to fund, they all thought they had to do the same. And until I started having the conversation over and over again, they finally broke down a little bit. Their legal departments, their medical departments, saying that, oh, right, I understand. Choice is actually better because they will stay with it. So it is an ongoing dialogue that we have all the time with our partners, and they are starting to understand the value of choice. It does mean that people stay with it longer. It does, like, as we talked about, there's multiple ways to deal with exhaustion, depression, anxiety. How you get there is up to you, because then you're going to stay with it. And we provide the service and pay for it. So thank you for bringing that front and center. I don't have anything more there that is not better than what you're seeing with the first poster. But it does give me an idea, though, Terry. It does give me an idea.
Cool. More work to do. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. And Dr. Gary, when we were talking about the nutrition program as well, just a little FYI for us, and having access. We are now serving 53% of our community is underserved, and that's across the nation, and 90% of them are using the nutrition services, probably a little bit higher, on their passport, because they need to get access, and they are choosing between basic needs or transportation. That shouldn't be. And the fact that we are able to bridge that gap for food insecurity is really important. So we're really honored to be able to do that and bridge that gap. But we know that it is a much bigger problem, that Unite for Her can't get to everyone. And that's why this data is so important, so that we get more funding to serve more patients. But I thought I'd bring that up because you did mention, like, not in 2024. And that is where we're seeing that they're using their passport of services solely for the food. Because we mail, as this community knows, 6 weeks of vegetables right to your home, some basket meal delivery, unlimited consultations with Erin and her team, which is key. We're not just, giving them money, right? We're actually giving them the resources and the education to make those lasting changes, and access to grocery gift cards that are in their hometown. So that's really, really important. So I just thought I'd touch on that a little bit, Dr. Gary. I did see, I think, Jolynn, did you have your hand raised if you wanted to come off mic? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Sue, thank you so much for saying that about the access to those nutritional supports with the food cards, because it definitely makes a huge difference for those of us in communities and areas who don't have access to some of the other wonderful integrative supports, but we do have access to those hometown gift cards. And financial toxicity is a real thing for those of us with MBC. And this is a game changer. Unite for Her's program is a complete and total game changer. I watched a webinar with another organization, and they talked about how we could reappropriate funds and resources. And sometimes if you have support in one area, then you can kind of use that to shift. And that's what I've found that this allows me to be able to do, is that $75 a month gift card frees up $75 for me that I might be able to use for acupuncture that is otherwise not accessible to me, or something else that needs to be taken care of. So that ability, even if that's the only thing that is accessible to you, it still provides you with some choice. It still provides you with some options, and those are so important and so critical. We have no control necessarily over the quantity of the years of life that we have, but we have great control when we're empowered through programs like Unite for Her over the quality of our life. And it's very, very meaningful. And I am a super appreciative and grateful fan of this program. So thank you all very much for what you do and for sharing this today.
Oh, thank you, Jillian. We appreciate you. And it is so true. Like you sort of touched on that. We talk about being strategic with your passport. You touched on it a little bit, right? You look at ways that we can help you and then free up dollars somewhere else that you can utilize things that you did not get access to. So you really did hit a lot of the things that we take pride in and are so honored to be able to do in this space. And thank you for your voice. We really appreciate you. Tiffany, I see you have your hand raised. You come off your mic.
It was really good to hear someone like Jolyn really appreciating, the vegetables. Everyone knows how I feel about the 6 weeks of free vegetables and what it can do for so many people, even for myself who used to be in a wellness program. But I wanted to say, even though I'm no longer in the wellness program, I think it's been a couple of years, I still utilize, you know, being on the live cooking classes, and I'm still, learning and still trying to do better with my nutrition, and all in for the plantuary. But I never had a nutritionist before Unite for Her. I always pretty much focused myself, and I've had nutrition classes before when I was in undergrad. But going through Unite for Her, like Erin was my first nutritionist I've ever had. And because of Unite for Her and being out of the program and end up having to have a hysterectomy and your body goes through so much, I decided to follow a nutritionist, because that's the benefit that, my job offers. But I don't think I would have really thought about that. I just would have stuck to my own, what I already knew. And I absolutely love my nutritionist. I mean, of course, I still love the nutritionist team at Unite for Her. That's going to always be. But
Of course.
I've learned so much through this program, even after being out of it, and still learning different things. And someone who's actually going through menopause and everything, tweaking my nutrition. Before it was, let me focus on this and let me do this. Now is, I got to really make changes going forward because I'm going through menopause. And I learned those things from you guys. And even with Sue, who recommended acupuncture, I'm already reached out to my insurance company because the medication that I'm on seemed like it's reverting and I'm going back to 50 million hot flashes a day. But I'm saying all this to say that even someone who's no longer in the wellness program still is benefiting. I mean, I was diagnosed in 2020. I'm still benefiting from Unite for Her as someone who's no longer in the program. So certainly there is a lot of things that you all are doing correct and just continue to do and not always support. And knowing all of this, I've been able to send other people your way because I know the benefits of it. And I know that the nutrition is so important. I feel like it's up the top and all the other things come underneath to help people manage, with their symptoms and everything. So yes, I just had to make a statement how much I love you guys and how important, I think this is, especially for people who have metastatic breast cancer as well. Like, it's just simply amazing that they get this for life. Like, it's, how I feel about you guys. I just love it. It's so beneficial and it still impacts me today in 2024. And I'm a 3-year cancer survivor.
Yeah. Thank you, Tiffany.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say
ahead,
quickly, and Tiffany makes a good point. We certainly love connecting with our members and being that medical professional for you. But we also encourage all of our community to check with your cancer center. Do you have a dietitian there? Is there someone in your area? And anytime I connect with our members and they say, I'm already working with a dietitian, my first statement out of my mouth is always, that is the best thing. What can I do to support your goals that you're working on with your dietitian, right? But at least now, if that is something that you were unaware of that you may have access to, we're really happy to be able to bring that to light and say, you know what, check. You might have a clinical dietitian at your oncology center who gets into your medical, we don't have access to your medical records, say, and really the nitty gritty of it, and let us be an additional support arm for that. So, we all have these different roles, and we're all really working together in this. I think, that comes from the word integrative, right? We're all working together. We're all integrating to help the whole.
Yeah. I know we can't do it alone. That's been a lot of our, obviously, Unite for Her, we have a lot of work in development, and we are looking for new partners all the time. And when I'm talking to our pharma partners who have been extraordinary for us, they have been so good to us. They see how much integrative care helps. It helps, it supports, and it helps patients stay on treatment. I now say, it's the collaborative approach. We can't do it alone. It is the medical community, the wellness community, and the pharma community. We are all working together. And if we try and stay siloed, we're not going to do well. So I'm honored to be able to sit on a lot of roundtables and be in these discussions and get our voices out there, get your voices out there. That is what Erin and I are so honored to be able to do. And so we wanted to show you what we sort of present when we are in these meetings and our findings. And I'm glad it was such a robust conversation. We are grateful for all of the love in the chat, for sure. It warms our hearts that we know that this is helping to sustain you in a way that gives you the best quality of life, quality of days. It's all about living, right? It's all about living, not trying to just save the life, but living during that time. And that's where we come in. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Erin, you want to take us home?
Yeah, absolutely. I was also going to just put the link for both of these posters again in the chat. In the event that you want to take a little bit of a closer look at them, like Sue said, we have both of them on our website. But just a brief reminder, again, we have our Ask the Experts at the end of the month. January 25th, joined by, again, diving into that research with the American Institute of Cancer Research, Senior Nutrition Advisor Karen Collins. So we're really excited to have her. Please join us for Plantuary. I saw one of our members hopped off to join our Nutrition Forward support group with Aubrey. So we've got lots of fun events happening. Take the Plantuary Pledge. That link is in the chat as well. So please be sure to join us. And hopefully we'll see you at the end of the month. And then finally, I do want to give a big thanks again to our education sponsors. Tonight's speaker series was presented by West and Merck with additional support from Daiichi Sankyo and GSK. We are so excited to have them, like Sue said, as part of the overall integration to support you. So we're definitely thankful for their support. So with that, I think this has been a wonderful night. Yeah,
I know. I'm really happy we did this, Erin. And Sheila asked when it's going to be up and recorded. The recording is going to be up online, and it's always tomorrow. Our staff is very quick. So we'll get it up tomorrow. Then you'll have the link that you can go here at any time. But that was a good night. It's so nice to spend. I feel like I spent 2 nights together with you, Erin, of course, but some of our staff members as well, our members in the community.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you all for your really thoughtful comments and questions. And we're glad that you found the information. Terry, thank you so much for chiming in with your professional background in research as well. So we're just so thankful for everyone spending your night with us. So happy Plantuary, I have to say. And
I know. Well, we had somebody hopping off this to go on to Aubrey's Plantuary. So I love that.
Busy night. Yeah, we love that.
Right in there. Happy January. All right, everybody. You have a good night. It's good to see you all. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.